There was a moment when the entire crypto world seemed to revolve around one name. Not Bitcoin, not Ethereum, but a platform that had quietly grown into the most powerful exchange on the planet. And behind that platform stood a man who rarely chased the spotlight, yet somehow ended up controlling one of the most influential companies in modern finance. His name was Changpeng Zhao, better known as CZ, and for years, he represented speed, growth, and dominance in an industry that moved faster than anything the financial world had ever seen. But this story is not just about how something was built. It is about the moment everything shifted. To understand that moment, you have to go back to the beginning, before Binance existed, before billions of dollars flowed through its systems every single day. CZ was not born into wealth or power. He grew up in a modest household, moving between countries, adapting, learning, and building a mindset centered around resilience. Early in his career, he worked in technology, quietly developing the skills that would later allow him to move faster than competitors who underestimated him. When Bitcoin began gaining attention, CZ saw something most people missed. He did not just see a digital currency. He saw an entirely new system. A system where control was shifting away from traditional institutions and into the hands of individuals. And more importantly, he saw the need for infrastructure. People needed a way to trade, to move, and to interact with this new financial world. That realization led to the creation of Binance. From the beginning, Binance moved differently. While other companies were slow, cautious, and often trapped in regulations and bureaucracy, Binance focused on speed. New features rolled out quickly. The platform expanded rapidly. And most importantly, it made trading simple for everyday users. That combination created explosive growth. Within months, Binance was no longer just another exchange. It was becoming the exchange. Traders flooded in. Volume surged. And suddenly, Binance was handling more transactions than competitors that had been around for years. It wasn't just growth. It was dominance. CZ had built something that seemed unstoppable. But with that kind of growth came something else. Attention. Governments began watching. Regulators started asking questions. And the very speed that made Binance powerful also made it difficult to control. Crypto itself was still new, still misunderstood, and still operating in a gray area that traditional systems struggled to define. At first, Binance continued moving forward without slowing down. Expanding globally. Entering new markets. Offering more services. From the outside, it looked like nothing could stand in its way. But pressure was building. Different countries began tightening their stance on crypto. Regulations became stricter. Questions about compliance, oversight, and control became impossible to ignore. And Binance, being the largest, became the primary target. This is where the story begins to shift. Behind the scenes, decisions had to be made. Slow down or keep pushing forward. Adapt or risk losing everything. And in a world where timing is everything, every move carried weight. Then came the moment that changed everything. Authorities in the United States launched major actions against Binance. Investigations, charges, and pressure that could not simply be brushed aside. The conversation around Binance shifted almost overnight. It was no longer just about growth and innovation. It was about survival. CZ, the man who had built one of the most powerful platforms in the world, was suddenly facing a situation where the future of everything he created was uncertain. And this is where most people expected the story to end. But it didn't. Instead of denying, delaying, or trying to outmaneuver the situation, a decision was made that few people saw coming. CZ stepped down. He accepted responsibility in a way that sent shockwaves through the industry. For many, it was the first time they had seen a figure of that level make a move like that so quickly and so directly. It was not a collapse. It was a turning point. Because while one chapter was closing, another was beginning. Binance did not disappear. The platform continued operating. Leadership shifted. Systems adapted. Compliance became a central focus. And while the headlines focused on what had happened, something else was taking place beneath the surface. Stability. The same company that had once been known for moving fast without looking back was now forced to evolve, to operate within stricter boundaries, to prove that it could exist not just as a disruptor, but as a long-term player in a regulated environment. And that is what makes this story different. Because in 2026, Binance is still here. Still one of the largest exchanges in the world. Still processing enormous volumes. Still playing a central role in the crypto ecosystem. But now, it operates in a way that reflects everything it has been through. The industry itself has matured. Governments are more involved. Regulations are clearer. And companies that once operated in uncertainty are now being forced to define their place within a structured system. Binance adapted to that reality. And adaptation is not weakness. It is survival. If you look at the bigger picture, the story of Binance is not just about one company. It is about an entire industry going through its own transformation. The early days of chaos, rapid growth, and unlimited freedom were always going to face resistance. And when that resistance came, it forced a decision. Either disappear, or evolve. Binance chose to evolve. CZ's decision to step back was not the end of influence. It was a shift in position. The company he built did not vanish with him. Instead, it continued forward, shaped by the lessons learned during its most intense moments. And that is the part most people miss. They focus on the headlines, the charges, the moment everything seemed to change. But they don't look at what came after. The restructuring, the adjustments, the quiet rebuilding of trust. Because real power is not just about how high something rises. It is about what happens when pressure hits. Binance faced that pressure at the highest level possible. And instead of collapsing, it transformed. Now, the platform operates with a different kind of strength. Not just speed, but stability. Not just growth, but structure. And in a world where crypto is no longer an experiment, but a permanent part of global finance, that matters more than ever. The story is still being written. And maybe that's the most important part. Because what happened was not an ending. It was a moment. A defining moment that forced change, forced growth, and forced an entire company to prove that it could survive more than just success. It had to survive reality. And it did. So when people ask what changed crypto forever, it wasn't just the rise of a platform. It was the moment that platform faced the full weight of the system it was trying to disrupt. And instead of breaking, it adapted. That moment changed everything. Not just for Binance, but for the entire crypto world.